Way Jones, raw and uncut.
Yo, what up, my good people? I'm not gonna start this video out the way I normally start my videos out because I'm gonna make this blog as quick as I can. I just basically made this blog to pretty much, give some of my people who I know that are still blind to the fact of when it comes to the term that we've always used when we wanted to call someone of color or one of our own a traitor, if you will. You dig what I'm saying, my people? Now, my good people, whenever it comes to Josiah Henson, yep, you heard it right, Josiah Henson, A.K.A. Uncle Tom, okay? When it comes to this man that I am about to enlighten some of the people that I know don't have a damn clue about who Uncle Tom really was, okay? Now, I'm just gonna give you guys like a small, little, piece of information on this guy. Like I said, I'm gonna make this vlog as quick as I can because right now I'm on a time limit. But anyway, when it comes to, Josiah Henson, like I said, who everybody knew was Uncle Tom, he was born on June the 15th, way back in way back in 1789 in Charles County, Maryland. Okay, now, you would think someone, that was that far, up north wouldn't have even, had to go through this type of thing, because the reason I say that is because at one point I was that person that thought that when I first, read up or, decided to, just pretty much do my research on who, Uncle Tom really was, okay? Now, with that being said, my good people, believe it or not, when it came to Uncle Tom was a way better person than what, the majority of people of color portrayed him to be. And the reason I say that is because notice how just about damn near every person of color used to use Uncle Tom as a derogatory term against someone that they felt like, was, their own when it came to them being, of the same ethnicity. You dig what I'm saying? When they felt like that they were being, pretty much traded up on or just pretty much labeled as a damn traitor. Okay? Now, when I finally did, decide to do my research on, Uncle Tom, there was this book that I read as well, which was also a fictional book, but this fictional book pretty much referred to the life of Uncle Tom. You dig what I'm saying? This book, that I read, it was written, back in the day, by a woman who goes by the name of, who I'm sure a lot of you already know, goes by the name of Harriet Beecher Stowe. And it was called Uncle Tom's Cabin. And believe it or not, this book was outlawed back in the day because of how powerful it was, when it came to, the story of even though, like I said, the book was fictional, but what I would call the real truth of Uncle Tom, because even though, like I said, the book was fictional, but it was based on Uncle Tom's life. You dig what I'm saying now? Follow me now, my people? Now, with that being said, believe it or not, my good people, back in the day, remember a lot of you remember the $1 Million Man used to wrestle. Remember when he used to say that everybody and everything has a price? Well, believe it or not, he was telling facts. You know what I'm saying? The reason I say that is this: believe it or not, back in the day, you could actually pay. They actually had a price that you could pay for your freedom. Slaves were actually able to purchase their freedom. You dig what I'm saying? Which is something that I never knew in my years coming up as a youngster. You dig what I'm saying? The reason I say that, Josiah, he was able to save up to $350 that they actually charged to purchase your freedom back in the day if you were happened to be a slave back in slavery times. You dig what I'm saying? Now his slave owner, who went by the name of Mr. Riley, he tried to play Josiah when he realized he was actually able to save up the money, because back then $350, that was a lot of damn money. You dig? Anyway, his slave owner tried to play him by telling him that he needed to pay an extra $100 when he realized, that, Mr. Josiah was able to, or pretty much save up the money to purchase his freedom. You dig what I'm saying? You know, which I thought was a damn shame, because then on top of that, his slave owner, Mr. Riley, to show you how low down these slave masters was back in the day, he actually added another zero on to that 100 after he got it to make it a thousand. He added a zero on that 100 to make it 1,000. When I guess he realized that Mr. Josiah was actually able to purchase his freedom. You dig what I'm saying? Anyway, with that being said, my good people, when he realized that his slave master cheated him out of how he was cheating him out of his money, that made, Josiah, which, A.K.A., believe it or not, A.K.A. Uncle Tom, that made him help over 100 slaves escape. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah, that's right, Uncle Tom. I'm still talking about Uncle Tom now, okay? Now, with that being said, my good people, back to the book that Mrs. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote that was called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Like I said, even though this book was fictional, it was still based on the life of Uncle Tom, okay? Now, in this book, you had two characters that, that was in this book, okay? Which was him, Uncle Tom, and who we all know today as Sambo, which was the real true definition of Uncle Tom. You dig what I'm saying? Think about what I'm saying, my good people, because don't forget, we've always been taught, you know, as people of color, to always go against the grain when it came to each other, especially, and what we were taught, was also flipped into so many different lies as well. You dig what I'm saying? In other words, most of our history was pretty much whitewashed, if you will. Okay. Now, with that being said, Uncle Tom was actually a very good man. But the reason I say this because if you read the book, he never snitched. You know what I'm saying? He never, believe it or not, not only did he never snitch, he never beat anybody. You did what I'm saying? In other words, he was just an all-around great guy. Okay. Now, with this being said, my good people, back in the day, they outlawed this book, like I was saying, because of how powerful this book was when it, like I said, even though it was based on a fictional character, but it was also based on, Uncle Tom's real life. You dig what I'm saying? Following me now, my good people? Anyway, with that being said, Uncle Tom was that guy, like if your sack was empty or low when it came, to the end of the day, after a long day of picking cotton or whatever, he would actually put some of his cotton in your bag because of how good he actually was at picking cotton than the average person was, just so they would not get beaten. In other words, he did this to keep other slaves from getting beaten, okay? Because in other words, if your sack was too low back in the day after a whole day of picking cotton, yeah, they actually used to beat the slaves, for shit like that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Which is really not a surprise to me. You dig what I'm saying? Anyway, my good people, that being said, now with that, like I said, that being said, behind a lot of these great things that I've mentioned that Uncle Tom actually did for his other fellow slaves. By him doing these type of things, he was so all the slaves respected him to the point to where he was so looked up to and well respected that they had to put another slave in charge who went by the name of Sambo. You did? Now, with that being said, believe it or not, the new slave that was put, in charge of Uncle Tom, believe it or not, one of his main orders was to actually beat Uncle Tom every night, all, through the night until his death. Well, not all through the night, but what I was really trying to say was like all the way up until his death. You dig what I'm saying? Which I thought was pretty damn, low down, dirty, and sinister as well, if you ask me. You dig what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, Uncle Tom was actually beaten to death in the story of the fictional book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Okay? And the reason for that was because he did not want to give up the whereabouts of two women slaves that actually escaped the plantation that he was on as well. You dig? Now this was in the fictional book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. You dig what I'm saying, my people? So with that being said, my good people, next time you decide to call someone an Uncle Tom, if you are someone who took the time out to watch this video, make sure that you decide to change the narrative when it comes, to Uncle Tom, because we have been completely fed a whole false conception of Uncle Tom. You dig? See, the reason why, Uncle Tom had the meaning that he had was that name actually came from white slave owners. You dig what I'm saying? Who viewed Uncle Tom as a traitor because of when they finally figured out and found out how he was actually helping his fellow slaves more than they ever could have imagined. You dig what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, my good people, if you really wanna, pretty much throw another person of color up under the bus, if you look at him as an Uncle Tom, you really got the conception of that other person of color completely misconstrued. Okay? Whenever you use that term, guess what? You're basically siding with the white man. And the reason I say that, not all white men, okay? Only the racist ones, the white supremacists. You basically what I'm saying, every time you decide to use that word on the term, a word Uncle Tom, you're pretty much siding with that white supremacist white person, because that's how they've always viewed their slaves, or whichever one of their slaves, that they found out was pretty much basically going against the grain when it came to helping out their own people. You dig what I'm saying? Which is why I can guarantee you probably will get laughed at behind closed doors by these white supremacists every time they hear you throw one of your own kind up under the bus by using the term Uncle Tom, when the real Uncle Tom was actually the newer slave that they actually got to take Uncle Tom's place when they realized, how many good deeds Uncle Tom was actually doing when it came to looking out for his fellow slaves, which were his own people as well. You dig what I'm saying, my good people? With that being said, like I said, I'm not going to make this blog too long. But anyway, my good people, if you felt like you gained any type of knowledge from this video, or if you feel like you like any of the commentary that I have done on any of my videos, like I said, including this one, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, my good people, with that being said, till next time, my good people, peace. Peace out.